Hello everyone, welcome back to pre-recorded Livestream, the only show that is a pre-recorded live stream. I am your host Shane, here's your other host, Shane. This is a one-man show, that's how we do it here on pre-recorded Livestream. That's why the episodes are a minimum of 25 minutes and a maximum of like 40. I don't think that I can make myself, entertaining for that long. I'm gonna be honest with you folks. I'm pretty tired, but I'm trying to keep it high energy. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Go subscribe to my other channel actually too before you decide not to. Go like some of those videos, also comment on some of those videos, ring the bell, and also, should I make an Amazon wish list? I've been thinking about it. Like hot tub streamers on Twitch used to have. Are hot tub streamers like still a thing? I remember there being a whole like controversy around that. I think it was like a sort of like Gamergate type, I don't know, like situation where a bunch of freaks got mad at women being hot. Anyways, you might have heard me say like hot tub streamers earlier. Normally in like a main channel video over on Casual Classroom, I would cut something like that out. But over here on Casual Classroom Podcast, we would leave that on the, what's the opposite of the cutting room floor? So today we are going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, as that was my video topic over on the main channel from this week. Renfield, new movie that came out recently. Some other stuff that will be a surprise for later. But first, there is big channel news. We finally hit 100 subscribers. I meant to buy party poppers earlier, and I forgot. But fuck yeah, I am so excited, guys. It is a really big milestone. Thank each and every one of you so much, even though I guarantee no more than like 5% of you are listening at most. But that's okay. You 5%, I love you just that much more. Just know that. But seriously, thank each and every one of you so much. And even if you're not listening to this, because this podcast, like, this is just for fun. I hope that if you don't listen to this, but you are a subscriber to my channel, that you feel my love just radiate through the universe without you having ever listened to this podcast. I would really appreciate that if you could get on that. Thank you. So, before we talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and just really quick, the way that these, like, video to podcast topics are going to work, since I do really like that my main channel and my podcast channel have that sort of, like, symbiosis going on, But the way that that's kind of going to work is, so this week I talked about the season premiere of Season 2 of Avatar. And I was specifically talking about how, like, it foreshadows a lot more of the season and also just, like, raises the bar for the series as a whole. But I'm not mostly going to be talking about that episode during this podcast segment. I'm just going to be talking about Avatar as a whole. So, and and that may vary, like, let me just look at my like, ideas board right now. I could give up. Okay, well, like, here we go. So, for, like, if I was talking about, the Skypiea arc of One Piece, which I, have to get to next. I have finished Alabasta, I'm in Jaya right now. I would probably, for that one, talk about Skypiea more specifically, since that's so, like, long and broad, and this is just one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so, yeah. And really quick, before we actually get into the episode, we are going to do Drink Check. So, I do have a personal philosophy that if you're really sitting down to do something, like, you're gonna be, like, down for a while, like, at least half an hour, and, like, you're doing a task, I think that you need 3 drinks. 1 for hydration, arguably the most important one. Other one for energy, also arguably the most important one. Third one, fun. I think you can see where this is going. So, which did I choose? Because I have a smaller desk than I used to since I moved, and I haven't quite figured out how I would want to fit 3 drinks on here without, like, being stressed the whole time that I'm going to break my laptop. because unfortunately you cannot record podcasts on a typewriter. I tried, very inefficient. All I could do was like write this one thing over and over again, and then I tried to kill my wife and son with an axe. That was a reference to the Stanley Kubrick the Stanley Kubrick moving picture, The Shining. Man, okay, so if you're new to this podcast, there are a lot of tangents here, because I've never been, like, diagnosed by a doctor, but I've lived in my brain for 22 years, and I definitely have ADHD, and so it makes it very hard to not go off on tangents if I'm just having a conversation with myself. Obviously, that's not what is happening, because I'm having a conversation with you, my best friend. Parasocial relationships are real, but you can't talk to me right now because of the internet. So, all of that to say, I decided that the fun drink was most important because I record these in the evening, and I like to be a little loosened up for this podcast. So I have a Cayman Jack here, and it's in a tall glass with a big-ass ice cube and a pretty thick slice of lemon, because that's how I like them. They are really good that way, because if you don't know, Cayman Jacks are like canned margaritas, so they are lime juice in them, obviously. So you get that lemon juice in there, and man, it's like whatever that they got for Sprite in that creature that they milk to make Sprite. Oh, it's so good. Okay, it has been at least 3.5 minutes since I first brought up that I would talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I guess I'll do that now. So I was rewatching it with my girlfriend. It was her first time watching it, so that was a very fun experience. It's always really great, in my opinion, to get to witness a series with fresh eyes, and I am an empath, so I am able to very easily do that, because like she can just be watching it and I'm just like, I'm feeling these emotions that you're feeling, arguably more than you, because I'm that much of an empath. I never really like realized how much I liked this episode until this most this most recent watch through. Until this most recent watch through. I just think that it's really well written. I think that's really interesting in the context of this season. It has been a long time since I watched the series. I don't think... so I got into anime like a couple years ago, and then I've obviously really not like grown a fondness for it at all since then. But I don't think that I've watched Avatar since then, like all the way through. I've watched the odd episode here and there, but there is a lot of stuff that I appreciated this time around that I wouldn't say that I didn't appreciate the first time, but I would say that I did not appreciate enough. I realized how much, or I wouldn't even necessarily say how much, but that I did like certain episodes that initially I really did not like. Like, for instance, I liked The Painted Lady a lot more this time around, for a reason that I will get into later. I also realized that I actually do like Nightmares and Daydreams. If you don't remember, that is the episode before the Day of Black Sun. And it's like, it's a weird episode, because it is pretty much like all like comedic. Like there is like drama because Aang is super fucking stressed about fighting Mega Hitler, you know, as you would be. And so he can't sleep, and so he's like having all these nightmares and hallucinating. And the thing is, it's a funny episode, especially when you read up a bit more on the like creation and production of the series, because there are certain things like in multiple dream sequences in this episode, Aang is redesigned in like a cool new badass outfit. A lot of them look like Sora from Kingdom Hearts and various Kingdom Hearts characters, frankly. But that is because Nickelodeon apparently like heavily pushed to the creators and the writers like, hey guys, what if we made Aang look really fucking cool? And they did make him look really fucking cool, it turns out, because his season 3 redesign is amazing. I love the exposed, like, shoulder. It is... Oh, it's such a better outfit for the tone that the series has at that point, but, like... So they did make him a lot cooler, but Nickelodeon wanted that to be, like, spikes on shit, and, like, bunch of skulls and shit everywhere. They wanted him to, like, appeal to, apparently, to, like, the 12 to 15-year-old boy demographic more by being more, like, cool and edgy, which, oh my god, I'm so glad that they did not turn my pacifist monk little baby boy into, I don't know, like Damian Wayne or something. But initially when I watched this episode, I was, I think, really annoyed because I wanted to get to the Day of Black Sun, because, like, fucking come on, we've been talking about this, like specifically the Day of Black Sun since, like, season 2, but we've been talking about Aang fighting the Fire Lord since, like, forever. So I was like, oh my fucking god, I don't care about Aang's little nightmares. He can go into battle with piss-soaked monk robes from Wet in the Bed for all I care. Get me to the fucking fight. But in rewatching it, I did realize, like, it's a funny episode, and it has a lot of really cute character moments. I really like them all, like, trying to just, like, help Aang get a good night of sleep. I don't know, maybe it's also because good nights of sleep have become more and more elusive to me in my elderly, decrepit age of 22. So maybe this episode just appeals to me more now because it really speaks to me on, like, a primal level. I'm like, oh my god, what if you did just sleep through the night? Oh, fuck, wouldn't that be something? Oh, wow. What if you didn't need to get up to pee because before bed you were like, but what if I wanted another LaCroix? What if I wanted more LaCroix? What if I wanted to fill my little belly and my little gullet with just more LaCroix? Specifically the hibiscus LaCroix. Probably the best LaCroix. That and limoncello. You LaCroix hoes know what I'm talking about. I actually had a joke about nightmares and daydreams and the Great Divide, sort of, in my video that I had to cut, which was really unfortunate. So it was towards the very beginning. It was at a specific part where I say something like, Avatar has had its fair share of bad episodes, specifically nightmares and daydreams, the Great Divide, and Imprisoned always seem to fall towards the bottom of people's lists. And then I was going to cut to myself in person saying, I actually like nightmares and daydreams. That's the real Great Divide. And, like, I was planning on, like, kind of, like, mumbling it more and not, like, delivering it like Jerry Seinfeld. Like, I actually like nightmares and daydreams. That's the real Great Divide, folks. I dated a 17-year-old. I'm Jerry Seinfeld. Look it up. He did. He also had a rivalry with a mailman named Newman. He was best friends with a guy named Kramer. Another element that I liked much more this time around was Katara. I never disliked her, but I really appreciated her more in this watch through. Especially, I think in season 3, she's probably at her best. Because that's when she has, like, the Painted Lady, and the Southern Raiders, and the Bloodbending episode. I mean, I guess you could argue that everyone is at their best in season 3, since it's just, like, the best season of the show. But yeah, I really appreciate Katara a lot more this time around, but I always liked her. One of my favorite moments of the show is probably... I was going to say this one moment, but I thought of another Katara moment that I love. They're very different. The first moment I was going to bring up was in the episode The Runaway. That's the one where Toph is doing all those, like, street games and, like, cheating at them because she's blind and blind people are liars. But anyways, so Sokka is, like, talking to Toph and they don't realize that Katara is, like, within earshot. It's that trope. And it's that scene where Sokka says, like, I don't even think I remember, like, what my mother looks like. When I try and think of, like, a, like, motherly role in my life, I just picture Katara. And I really like that moment. The other moment I was gonna bring up, especially since that moment has to do with Toph, and she might be my favorite character in the show. So, big ups for that. Another moment with Katara that I really, really love is in the premiere of season 3, when it's after Aang has left to go, like, try and fight the Fire Lord on his own, and she's talking to her dad, and it's that whole moment where she is, like, complaining about Aang running away and trying to fight this war on his own, and it's like really also about her dad, and they have a whole like conversation. That scene is such a tearjerker, man. I full on cry whenever I watch that one. I don't know why, that one just really gets me. But yeah, now I am just extra excited to rewatch Legend of Korra because that show is really fucking good. I am really excited to make videos on it in the future and hopefully get a lot of comments from angry people because that drives up engagement. I hope that they'll also dislike the video because I don't know if you guys know this, but disliking and liking a video does the exact same thing. You know what, folks? Throw a quick dislike down in the in that area, down where the subscribe is. Don't like unsubscribe or anything. The dislike is the only thing that works the same as its good counterpart. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to rewatch Legend of Korra. I can't talk about it too in depth right now, I just realized, because my girlfriend is definitely listening to this, and I'm going to watch that show with her. So you'll hear more about that when we do that. I'm also really excited to reread the comics. I also want to make a video on those at some point. I like the Avatar comics, but they are a little strange at times. And I want to talk about that. But speaking of spin-offs and, I guess, like, derivatives, you could say, of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I am not very excited for the Netflix show. A big part of that has to do with, I think that they announced that that show was coming out when I was in high school, which was, I think, several decades ago. But, yeah, there's really not been much news about that show. There probably should have been a trailer right now. Is that show still coming out? I bet it got canceled. I just didn't see. Here, if you hear any silly noises, this is just me on my wacky phone seeing is Avatar live action canceled. There we go. That's a fill-in we've got there. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say anything on here. Yeah, no word on it yet. Apparently it was supposed to come out this summer. Looks like that is not going to be happening anymore. But I just feel like it'll probably be really well cast. Because I have seen the cast, and like visually I like a lot of them a lot. And I bet it'll be really well made. I bet that, if I had to make a bet right now, I bet the score and cinematography will be like standout elements of this. I bet that those are both going to look fantastic. But I just don't think that it's going to at all capture the same spirit as the original series. I just think that's going to land with a big ol' nothing. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about with Avatar here, and sorry that there were so many tangents, this is probably my worst episode yet in terms of tangentness. Which, speaking of that, I'm kidding, folks. That was a little joke. We like to do little jokes here. But it's fucking bullshit that there is no Avatar fighting game, because every anime or anime adjacent franchise should have a fighting game. And I don't just mean like shonen inspired ones. I want there to be an Oron fighting game. I want there to be a Dick Fight Island fighting game. I want there to be a Thigh High fighting game. I just think that every anime or anime adjacent series should have its own fighting game. I don't think that's that controversial. I would probably I bet I would end up maining Jet, because A, he's a terrorist, based, but B, he's got those hook swords, and I really like playing, what's his name in Mortal Kombat, the really fast guy with the hook swords, Cabal. Fuck yeah, love Cabal. He's my guy. And Jet, also my guy. Put them together, two guys, I'm playing him. So next up, I did not realize that I was going to talk about this. A new trailer for The Flash dropped. I feel like they just released one, so I don't know why they really need another one. Then again, I don't even know why they're fucking releasing this movie. So I mean, I guess I know why, because they spent a gabrillion dollars on it. It's like rebooting the whole universe. But God, I'm not excited for this movie. Mainly because I do not care about this version of The Flash or Batman pretty much at all. Yeah, I just have absolutely no love for this. I didn't see the Keaton Batman movies until I was like well past the point where they could have turned into childhood nostalgia. And yeah, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't like that version of Batman that much, frankly. Like, I think that was a good performance for the time. I think that that's an important movie for like what it did for comic books and the zeitgeist, and especially comic book films. But yeah, I just don't fucking like him. I saw a thing on Twitter today saying like, oh, see, this is the shot where like maybe he dies after this. This would be a really tragic turn for the movie. It's like, I really hope that happens in the first 5 minutes. God, I hope to God. God, it'll be so deeply hilarious if this movie is really good. Because I don't know if you know this, but Ezra Miller is the Flash in this movie, and he is also apparently the devil. Yeah, Ezra Miller. Look it up. Just look it up. Just look up Ezra Miller crime, and you'll find enough. But they couldn't fire him from this movie because A, it was already filmed. B, there are two different versions of Barry Allen the Flash in this movie, both played by Ezra Miller. Oh, so like, if this movie is good, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. That'd be so amazing. There's a suit that one of the Flashes gets that looks to be a bat suit that was then turned into the Flash suit, and oh my god, I think it's the ugliest thing I've probably ever laid eyes upon. I had to wash my eyes out with salt water after I saw that shit. Just the neck alone. Like, I don't think he's got to worry about, like, Zod at all. Like, frankly, like, what's he gonna do? Like, try and choke him out? He's not gonna be able to touch his fucking thumbs together around that thing. God damn. There's a specific part in this. So what they're doing is they're adapting the story Flashpoint, which is not really a story about the Flash that much. It's more of just like a big event story. I don't know, like it is about the Flash, but like in most Flashpoint stories, it becomes more about like what's gonna happen to the universe. But there's a specific part in the Flashpoint story where the Flash needs to get his powers back. That scene in this trailer actually did look really cool. I'm really unironically excited for that. It looked pretty awesome. I'm also very excited to see Michael Shannon back as General Zod from Man of Steel. I thought that he was the best part of that movie. Like, pretty much inarguably, actually. That and the soundtrack, I mean, the two good things about that movie. So, one last little thing about the Flash trailer. Supergirl is going to be in the Flash. Superman's cousin, like, probably. I mean, the movie's not out yet, obviously, but if I had to guess, it's probably Kara Zor-El, who's Superman's cousin. She's usually, like, a bit more, like, violent and, like, rageful, vengeful. So she's a cool contrast to Clark. I'm really excited to see her in this movie. But that's about all I have to say for the Flash trailer. Once again, I'm not excited for this movie. I hope it's good, like I hope that every movie is good. And if this movie is good, that might be the funniest thing ever. So the next thing that I have to talk about this week is the movie Renfield. I went and saw that with my girlfriend. So it's like a comedy, action, kind of drama. It kind of has like a bit of all of that. It's even got like a romance subplot in there about Renfield, who's the longtime assistant of Dracula. It is starring Nicholas Hoult as Renfield and Nicolas Cage as Dracula, but it's mostly also starring Awkwafina as this one cop. Where do I start with this? Man, it was kind of a weird movie, but it was really fun, and the performances were very compelling, and that really made this movie that had, honestly, kind of a mediocre script and not a great story, really, really solid and fun. And it really made you, like, I mean, caring about the characters is always just like the secret sauce to make any story 1,000 times better. I mean, even like an amazing visual spectacle or something that like so many people work on, like the Fast and the Furious movies, are complete garbage to me. Like I just like can't really like stand them because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going on. And like they're fun to watch like drunk, don't get me wrong, but anyways, the action and the gore were also both really fantastic. There's a lot of great comedic gore in this movie. There's a part where a guy like oh the problem is I don't want to like spoil too much of it. There's a part where a guy gets his like just like the face ripped clean off. I always love that. One guy like explodes from the inside. And that's one of the first bits of like big gore in the movie, which I didn't even know that this movie was rated R, honestly. So that was a very fun surprise. This show had so much fun with vampiric lore, which is always the thing that I look forward to most in a contemporary story about vampires. You know, actually, speaking of that, really quick sidebar, there was a trailer, fuck, I forgot the name. There was a trailer for another movie that was about, like, the Nosferatu version of, like, a vampire, basically, like, being, like, a stowaway on, like, a, like, Mayflower time period ship. So it's, like, Alien, but also mixed with, like, religious, like, type of, like, imagery and, like, vampires and stuff. I swear to God, this was, like, made, like, factory, like, for me. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. It looked so good. Okay, but anyways, like, there's a great part where Dracula, like, is able to... So if you don't know this, Dracula and vampires at large normally cannot enter somewhere without being invited in. And there's a part where, like, Dracula's able to break into someone's apartment because they have a doormat that says, like, welcome, come on in. I thought that was very, very funny. So the story is about Renfield being in an abusive relationship with Dracula, which is not a very new idea at this point in, I guess, like, contemporary vampire literature. That's very tread upon ground. I mean, even when the concept was first really popularized with I think probably the first thing that were really popularized them was the Universal monster films. They've always had a pseudo abusive to just straight up abusive relationship. But this movie actually starts with a throwback to those original Universal monster movies. And man, Nicolas Cage was born to play Dracula. How has no one ever noticed this before? Like, the man is just a Dracula. I'm pretty sure in real life now that he is the Vlad Dracula. I don't think that they had to use any special effects on this film either. So yeah, the idea of Renfield and Dracula being in an abusive relationship is not new, but the performances in this movie, especially from Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, were really good and they really sold it. I thought that this was going to be more of a comedy going in, and there are a lot of scenes that are kind of fucking hard to watch, because Nicholas Holt's a really good actor, and so is Nicolas Cage, and they're really accurately portraying being in a relationship with, like, a narcissistic abuser, and it's fucking sad, man. But I really liked this movie a lot. It was really funny. I'm not gonna say too much else about it, because frankly, this movie is good, but if I start spoiling all the good parts, you won't have a very good time watching it. Jean-Ralphio from Parks and Rec plays a, like an organized crime guy. He's hilarious. He might be my favorite part of the movie. But anyways, moving on, we are going to talk about our secret subject. So, last topic of the video. When I haven't read or watched enough stuff, which I really don't know why that happened this week, but I guess it just got away from me. I have to find some things to fill the time here because I really want to post this podcast week to week. because I know how upset my beautiful little babies would be if this episode was also not the minimum run time of 25 minutes. I just don't know what you would do with yourself. So, this time we will be talking about something called Warhammer 40k. Warhammer takes place in the year 40,000. There's this guy called the Empire... First thing I had to tell you about this. There's this guy called the Emperor of Mankind who's like a giant, slowly rotting corpse who gets like a bagrillion sacrifices every day so that he can keep not rotting so quickly. And because he exists, there's this thing called the Warp, which is like hell, but it also lets you do magic. You can also travel through it. It's sort of like, it's like in Minecraft, where you do nether travel, where like, every one block in the nether world is like 8 on the actual Minecraft world. And so you use it as a sort of like little like secret tunnel system. And that's what they do in 40k. But also sometimes you go insane because you meet the evil sexy elves and they shoot you with their evil sexy guns. Warhammer is super cool. So the Emperor is the leader of the Empire of like mankind, and they have a few little silly traits about them. First off, they are fascists. Yeah, if you look at any of their aesthetics, it's pretty clear what kind of, early to mid 20th century Central Europe really originated European fascist country they might have modeled themselves after. It rhymes with Nazi shit. But they also have some fun other allies. Like they've got these guys called the Adeptus Mechanicus. They live on Mars and they worship technology. They've got to like pray to their technology, which I should really start doing that. I think that might help my laptop run a little better if I start like rubbing it with oils and like anointing it and stuff. Would that make you feel good, baby girl? Yeah, so they've got the Adeptus Mechanicus. They're very fun. They have like a nice like steampunk aesthetic, but my favorite stuff is the Xenos. Those are the alien races. So first off, you've got the Tyranids. Think of like a xenomorph from Alien, like we were talking about earlier, but they're like white and pink a lot of the time. It's pretty cool. Also a cool thing with Warhammer, it is mostly based around these miniatures that you paint, and then you can also play them in game, but I really just like paint mine. And it's just a really fun like crafts thing. I might post some pictures on the screen of some of my figures. But it's just a really fun, like, crafts project, honestly. You just get to, like, make your little figures. I've never made Tyranids, but I would really like to make them, like, black and, like, red. I think that'd be really badass for those, like, bug guys. I have a lot of orcs, because they're really funny and silly. They have this one thing in lore where they all have, like, low-level magic sort of, like, psychic abilities, and they're not strong enough to really do anything on their own. But the way it works is that if enough orcs believe something, it just becomes true. So for example, say they all get in like their big war car, and it won't start because there's no gas in the tank. And one of them goes, I fucking know that I filled up gas earlier. If he's like a really big and strong orc, the other orcs will believe him because that's what their whole like society is based on. That's why I would be so successful there. And if the other orcs believe him, and they all go like, yeah, you did fill it up with gas, man. You're so right, Joe Rogan. Then, the car just fucking starts. They are off to the races, baby. It's a really fun concept. There's this really funny story. This will be the last thing that I leave off on for the episode, actually, because I think it's a funny Warhammer story, and it shows the comedy of the series a lot. There's a story about this general from the, like, mankind military, and he runs out of ammo while he's fighting orcs. And so he takes his empty pistol and he points it at one of the orcs and he goes, bang! And the orc just fucking falls over dead because all of his buddies thought that he got shot. He's just pointing the other ones going, bang, 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 bang. And it just keeps fucking working. And that is one of my favorite bits of Warhammer lore ever. But that's what we're going to leave off on this episode of pre-recorded live stream, folks. Thank you so much for watching as always. Make sure you like or dislike, comment or opposite comment, subscribe or unsubscribe, ring or unring the bell, but go subscribe to my other channel, like every one of those videos, comment on every one of them. There is no opposite for those ones. But thank you so much for watching, y'all. I will see you next week. Have a good one. Goodbye.